Hello, everybody. How are you? We're back, and hopefully you didn't go anywhere. You just clicked onto the next one. So what I'm going to do here now is I was talking about Super Sensor, and he was basically a Daredevil ripoff, except he could see. And what I did was one of the things I did about him was I put him in a mask that was just like a black mask. The whole thing was just completely black, and the reason why he was in that black mask is because he needed something to help him with his hearing. So they kind of dampened his hearing a little bit, and his vision, because there was so much going on with his sight, the mask helped him with that, and also helped him with his smell, because he was smelling everything. So the mask kind of filtered a lot of those sensors. And since then, people have come to say that we actually have more than five senses. There's things like a sense of balance, sense of intuition. So that's something more that I can play with. And I think I'm going to bring a guy with heightened senses back. Now, whether I'm calling him Super Sensor or not, I sincerely doubt. I haven't come up with a name yet. I didn't really do a whole lot with the character other than create an ad for him in one of my other books that I did. So in other words, I was drawing comic books, and I created this ad for the Super Sensor saying he's coming, but I didn't do much more with him other than that. So I'm going to use this character. Which is a blank slate, and I'm going to take those powers and put it into this character that I'm creating, who now is part Black Lightning, part Bruce Jenner, and part Super Sensor. Okay, now another thing I want to do, it is superheroes, so I'm going to put him in a superhero universe. Now, personally, my belief is that the genre of superheroes really should be in the genre of fantasy. It's a subset of fantasy. And those of you who are older who may argue with me on this, fantasy is in like the Lord of the Rings realm, where you have magic and elves and dwarfs and stuff like that. These are characters that you don't really kind of have to explain. You say Gandalf was a wizard and he does magic, and that's all you need to explain it with. And I kind of believe that's where superheroes belong, okay? A lot of times they try to make superheroes to be like science fiction and stuff like that, and I have a tendency to just think they're fantasy. It couldn't really happen. If there were guys with superpowers, they'd all be working for the government, doing black ops. They wouldn't be putting on masks and fighting crime. So anyway, even if they wanted to, they wouldn't be able to do it. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and use Super Sensor. I'm going to come up with another name for him. I need to work on it a little bit. But what I'm doing is I'm just creating like the backstory. And this superhero universe, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, since there are other people in there with superpowers, I'm going to kind of try to explain it. I'm going to use fantasy elements and incorporate a little bit of fake science in there, okay? I'm going to say that, but I'm going to do it in a way that hopefully people will believe. I'm going to say that aliens came to Earth and experimented on us, okay, on humans, okay? And this is an old idea. This idea has been around forever and a day. So it's not a new idea. None of these ideas are new. I'm just taking a little bit from here and a little bit from there, and I'm just kind of trying to mash them up together a little bit. Now, what they did when they experimented on us is they created a special gene, okay? And not everybody in the world has this gene. But for those of you who are young, who are real young, a gene is like it's in you. It's sort of like what your blood is made of. It's kind of how your body is formed. But it's going to be a recessive gene. Excuse me, I'm trying to talk and write and think at the same time. It's going to be a recessive gene, okay? And for those of you who don't know, what a recessive gene means is that it's not prominent. So for those of you who are young, your genes will determine like the color of your hair and the color of your eyes and the tone of your skin, okay? And a recessive gene means that you could have a recessive gene for, I'm going to just throw this out there, for blue eyes, okay? And you can have everybody in your family could have brown eyes, and you could be born with blue eyes because the recessive gene just happened to come out. That's like the easiest way to explain it without getting too technical. There are a lot of humans on the planet, not all of them, but a lot of them that are going to have this recessive gene. And there's going to be something that's going to trigger the gene. And the reason why I'm doing this is because, let's take Spider-Man, for example. Spider-Man got bitten by a radioactive spider. Now, at the time when Spider-Man was created, we didn't know a whole lot about radioactivity, okay? Nowadays, we know that if you get exposed to radioactivity, you pretty much catch cancer and die. It's not something where superpowers are going to trigger you. But the reason why I'm having aliens come and people have an experiment, this recessive gene, is because I'm going to use these fantastical excuses like radioactive spiders to bring this gene out. Okay, so this particular character, he has the recessive gene, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that while he was doing the decathlon, okay, on his way home, there was an alien. Let's say another alien invasion. Okay, why not? So we had another alien invasion come in. Okay. And what he did was, what happened was they were on the plane, and they shot some sort of ray blast at the plane filled with these athletes, okay? And this universe, I guess his equivalent to Superman, flew to block this ray blast, okay? And this is another idea that's been around for a while. Some of you may have heard of it, some of you may not have heard of it. But what he did was he flew to block this ray blast, and some of the ambient energy, or for those of you who are kids, ambient energy is like, how do I explain it without getting technical? It's energy that's like around. It's kind of everywhere. I guess the easiest way to describe it would be if you're sitting in this room here and there's a radio in the other room, what you're hearing is ambient sound because it's coming from somewhere, but you're not sure where. If that makes, that's kind of like the easiest way I can explain it without getting too technical. Anyway, this ray blast that has ambient energy that'll go through the character Superman. He's not Superman. But I guess who I would consider my equivalent. He was blocking the energy from this plane exploding. And this character here, Super Sensor, was on the plane. There was a group of athletes on the plane. Some of them died. Not all of them did. Some of them survived. And of those who survived, some of them got superpowers. So that's how he got his superpowers of super sensing. I'm creating this now as we're going along. So this is kind of why you see me hesitating and jumping around like this. And this is kind of how you do it. So now what I have is I have a superhero who his name is I don't like that name. That's like a that's a name I need to work on. But what he did was he grew up poor. He ended up, he became an athlete. He got out of the slums. He won the decathlon. He had people sponsor him. Different companies paid him to advertise their products. And he took that money, he invested it, and created a foundation where the money that's coming from the foundation, the investment, is paying for this door, the door, which I'm going to change the name on that. I have to. I can't steal that name, but it's a foundation similar to the door that I knew from my childhood. And then what he's going to do is he also, while he was away, he gained his powers. So while he's doing all of this stuff, setting up, he's trying to give back, his powers kind of come out, and he sees that he could do something about the crime, and he wants to go do something about it. So first he needs help with his powers coming out. So he's going to figure out a way to stifle him. And I'm going to work on this, why he runs around with no mask and he doesn't have to worry about it, but then he has to put on a mask and worry about it. These are details, you kind of worry about later. And how he got his powers was because thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, aliens came to Earth and experimented on cavemen, I guess, and he ended up with this recessive gene that came out during this alien invasion while he was flying back after winning the decathlon. So it all kind of falls into place like that. So this is kind of the backstory of the character and how he got his powers. And it's not done by a long shot, but it's the beginning sketches of it. And this is kind of how you do things like this. You just kind of you grab ideas from here and there and you put them all together. I don't believe there's anyone who had all of this tied in together. It's very possible that somebody's out there who's exactly like this, but I don't think I've seen it before. So this is what I'm going to go with. I took a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and I put it all together. And I'm doing it in a character that, a genre that I feel comfortable with. I read a lot of superhero comic books growing up, and that's what you want to do. You want to find something that you really like to do, something you really enjoy, whatever it may be, history, biography, whatever it may be, whatever you feel comfortable doing. If you want to just do comedy, slapstick comedy, if you want to do just regular comedy, whatever it is you want to do, then you start working on it. You grab a little bit of here, a little bit from there, a little bit from there, and you start to flesh out the character. What I'm going to start with tomorrow is I'm going to start with the next lesson, the next art lesson for you to practice with. You should practice with this lesson. Hopefully you will. Practice with this lesson tonight or today, whatever. Spend some time with it. Just kind of look at something. Maybe take an object that's lying around and find the form that's underneath there, okay? And then draw the form. That's really the key to it. And then, again, you draw it kind of light, not like I did. And you draw over things like I did with the square. I drew over, like I did with the car, I drew over it. And then you erase the really light lines, okay? And again, look, we're not talking Picasso, Rembrandt, Leonardo da Vinci, any of those guys. You're looking for the form. That's the key to it all right? Don't worry about a lot of the other stuff. That's kind of what I want to impress upon you in this first one, is you're looking for the shape, the basic form underneath. And then we went ahead and we started fleshing out our character. I started writing a little bit about him, stealing from here and there, because I did it based on different genres, things that I liked, okay, and I kind of fell in on that. Anyway, that's it for today. We'll go ahead and pick up tomorrow, and I hope you have a great day. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like, subscribe, share, comment. Thank you. Bye-bye.